What the heck are so many puppies doing here? Husky had some family that was willing to put us up for a while. Until the heat dies down, or we have our ultimate clash. In that case, it seems about as good a time as any to pull out this little gem. Oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? One of the missing shards to the gem of my childhood. Right here. Thought you might like it. Well, I gotta go to someplace a little bit less, cute. I'll, see you later. Husky, let's get this started. Hi, Internet! We've just happened upon something excellent. Something truly fantastic. Something wonderful from my childhood. It was my absolute favorite show growing up from 2nd grade to 4th grade. And let me tell you something, it is a true pleasure reviewing it again with you today. And now we present you with a short look at Wishbone! Yay! See, they like it too! For those of you not in the know, Wishbone is a show about a Jack Russell Terrier named Wishbone, and his supporting cast of humans as they go through life's everyday challenges.
The twist here is how Wishbone seems to draw parallels between what the characters, usually Joe, his owner, are going through, and the events of the great classic tales of old.
The show would flip back and forth between the main plot and an extremely condensed version of whatever piece of literature they happen to be featuring that day. The only problem with this system is that, while they never give too many details of the story itself, they always give away the ending.
Oh, come on, Leaf. These stories are usually older than dirt, and you don't read anyway.
Well, whatever. Let's go ahead and dive right into Wishbone.
The first of the 2 episodes we'll be covering is The Impossible Dream. Get it? Impossible. Where we see today's relevant human, Joe Talbot, not doing his math homework. Yay, procrastination!
He's too busy thinking about the fact that he's going to attempt the world record in consecutive free throws in 5 minutes later that week. You know, for people under 16.
Luckily, Joe's mom comes in and reminds him what math homework is.
Tomorrow.
My record's not so good in math.
He's dumb because he's an athlete.
Then our show's namesake begins drawing parallels with another impossible dreamer of old, Don Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote de la Mancha.
So is that supposed to imply that Joe's a crazy nut for wanting to fulfill his dream?
Only time will tell, Husky. Anyway, the story, as you know, is about an old man who reads so many comic books, knight's tales, that his brain dries up and he concludes that he needs to go out and become a knight-errant and revive the ways of chivalry.
Unfortunately, his niece and housekeeper don't approve. But Mr. La Mancha doesn't listen. And here enters his new squire, Sancho Panza, played by none other than Wishbone himself. Now, how does the man of La Mancha convince this poor sap to join him in his quest of idiocy?
I promise, if you stick with me, you will get your own kingdom someday.
All right!
We cut back to Joe, along with his friends David, Sam, and some chick whose name doesn't really matter, as he practices for the big day. He is told to visualize, just like Don Quixote.
He could see things that no one else could.
Yes, it's called being out of your ding-dong mind. Anywho, enter the famous Windmill scene, where, in spite of Sancho's repeated warnings, Don Quixote charges them and gets soundly pummeled for his troubles. Wow, maybe he's not so crazy. It looks like those windmills were shooting at him just now.
He then swears to replace his shattered helmet with the golden helmet of Mambrino, said to be super special awesome, and lo and behold, he, quote-unquote, finds it almost immediately in the form of a brass shaving basin this guy wears on his head. Now just watch this. Take in a little taste of what shaped my childhood years.
If I can work a deal here. Look, he wants that thing on your head.
This is just a bowl. It's my barber's basin. It's old. It's cracked. It's junk. He can have it.
Thanks. It means a lot to him.
There's a reason I sit here recording me talking to a wolf puppet while reviewing movies from my childhood.
Crazy Dave said it best. Back in real life, Joe manages to score 80 shots in 5 minutes. Not bad, when the show's designated irredeemable jerkwad shows up to spoil the party.
Nothing but net.
No, that hit the rim. You, sir, fail.
Meet Demong, a schoolyard punk that would make Stephen King proud. And since he has 4 of the 5 letters in demon in his name, you know what joke this calls for. Demont manages to psych Joe out of his sweet spot, messing up his concentration for the rest of the day.
Uh-oh.
Some woman named Wanda is writing a news story about Joe's attempt at the record, but she's not important. What is important is getting back to Don Quixote.
Word has spread far and wide about his and Sancho's exploits, including that one time with the...
An outrageous giant.
It was a windmill.
It was a giant.
Windmill!
Giant!
Whatever,
Okay.
when suddenly Don Quixote sees one of the serving wenches and mistakes her for the illustrious Dulcinea el Toboso, a formerly fictional maiden for whom Don Quixote is questing to impress. Most people disagree with me on this point, but I say, crazy or not, there's something to be learned from someone who can look at a tavern woman and see a beautiful maiden.
He may not be the best looking knight, but he's certainly the most noble.
No, that means he's creepy. You have no sense of poetry, do you? Oh yeah? Roses are red, violets are blue. Quixote is insane, and Leaf is nuts too.
So anyway, the nut job's niece and housekeeper hire a it's Carrasco, Sir Cappuccino, to go out and bring Don Quixote back home.
I think he's lost his wits.
Ah, diggity die!
I will beat him at his own game.
Well, the day has finally arrived, and everything is set for the showdown between Joe and Demont. I think this calls for some epic clash music. Not yet, we have another story scene! Huh. So yeah, Carrasco then decides to fight Psycho with Psycho, and challenges Don Quixote to a joust for the honor of Dulcinea. Quixote accepts, and the two of them clash.
Surprisingly, Don Quixote comes out the winner. Ita Caraca Maraca.
His name is Carrasco.
Whatever.
Okay, now it's time for the epic clash between Joe and Demont. Crank it!
This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions as far as the eye can see. And only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny.
Luckily, Demont fails to break the world record.
And now back to the story, where we see a scene very much like the one we just saw. Wait.
Apparently, Carrasco tried again, this time dressed as the Knight of the Mirrors. And instead of victory, our fair Don gets a face full of lines.
And now, since he lost, Caca forces him to give up his life as a knight errant. Now for part 2 of the ultimate clash. Go, Joe!
This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny. Good guys, bad guys, and explosions as far as the eye can see. And only one will survive. I wonder who it will be. This is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate showdown. This is the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny.
Unfortunately, Joe still doesn't beat the world record, scoring 81 baskets in 5 minutes instead of the necessary 86.
Still, he beat Demont's 80 baskets, and at the end of the day, that's what's really important, right?
Still, Joe mopes a little, but his mom sets him straight, telling him that this stuff happens and he's got to buck up and face life's next adventure. And speaking of adventure,
Don Quixote keeps his word and quits his life as a knight. But he doesn't quite give up on the whole idea of adventure.
We could become shepherds.
Shepherds?
And so Don Quixote and Sancho Panza went off once more in search of their next adventure. The end! But we're not done yet. Now time to dig into the episode Hot Diggity Dog. Bring it!